so if everyone could please clear their minds, I would like you to think of what first comes to your head when I say the two words SeaWorld. I know everybody in this room has either been to the SeaWorld parks or has seen the commercials on TV, so I know all of you know animals and attractions are offered at these parks. Some of you could be thinking about the dolphins, maybe just the food they have there, or even the size of the giant tanks. But I do know every single one of you in this room thought of one thing, and that is Shamu, the orca whale. Ever since I was 2, my childhood dream has been growing up to work with these animals and to train them as my job. And I am currently attending this school to receive my bachelor's in marine biology to do just that. Even though this may be my childhood dream, I am still here to explain to you why I think these animals should not be kept in captivity for entertainment purposes. I will explain why SeaWorld still keeps them around and why they believe they should stay, but I will also explain the other side of the story, what most people aren't aware of, and how living in these small tanks actually affects these whales' lives negatively. So, as all of you know, SeaWorld is a multi-billion-dollar industry itself, and the SeaWorld shows just themselves has made billions for the SeaWorld parks as well. Things like the plush toys, the cups, the clothing, all the small knickknacks like that is just a little side project for them to gain even more money, and it has also made the killer whale the poster animal of these SeaWorld parks. These SeaWorld shows and the whale shows do give the audience a first experience to be able to see these whales up close and personal and see how intelligent and emotional they really are with their trainers. But what all of you do tend to forget is that these animals are wild animals and they always will be. But there are two sides to every story, and I'm here to explain the whale side to these lives. So, placing these orcas in these giant fish tanks is literally signing them up for their death sentence. Not every whale was actually born in captivity. They actually had to go out and capture them themselves. In the movie Free Willy, it does show a very family-friendly version of how they catch them with the nets, but that's not really how nice it is in real life. They do use boats, nets, and bombs to make the babies get away from the parents because they have no interest in the older whales. And once they actually capture the baby whale through a lot of challenges with catching it in a net, there is actually whales that are left dead at the end of this. According to a fisherman that was interviewed in the new documentary Blackfish that was produced by Manuel Oteiza and aired this past October, he said that the dead ones were left over, were cut open, filled with rocks, had an anchor tied to their tail, and left to sink to the bottom. What most people don't know is how emotionally attached these whales are together. From birth till death, the babies will stay with their mothers and never leave their side. So when you do take a baby to bring in captivity, you are literally breaking a pod, which is a group of whales or the family whales. It has actually been caught on tape, the separation from a baby and a mother, and the noises and the emotional attachment that come out of the mother and the crying and screaming was shocked by marine biologists, and it lasts hours on end. Not as much today, but more so back then when they would first capture the whales, they literally used abuse to train them. And just one of those ways would be by starving them in order to learn their new tricks, and then putting them in these small sightings at night without even feeding them. So according to, again, the documentary Blackfish that was produced by Manuel Oteiza and aired this past October, this exact picture is the size of a tank that is 20 feet by 30 feet long with no light coming in, while these whales range from 11 to 25 feet long. And the sadder part is they would put more than one whale in these tanks. So in comparison, that would be like us living in a bathtub for the rest of our lives. And when you put more than one whale inside of these small tanks, it causes a lot of tension and danger to each of the whales. So like I said earlier, how whales tend to stay together from birth till death. So when you add a random whale from one family and a random whale from another family together, it is not good, and it is actually a danger to their lives. The new whales always gets ganged up on by the whales that are already in the SeaWorld tank, and it actually injures them. This is a picture of raking, and that is when a whale literally scratches its teeth deep into the other whale. It bleeds a lot, it's not very pretty. As you can see, it scars, it doesn't look very nice. And there's actually been whale deaths from the bullying inside of these tanks. So moving from one gigantic ocean to a small fish tank has literally cut these whales' life expectancy in half. From an online article written by Naomi Rose called Killer Controversy, and I accessed that on November 27th, in the wild, life expectancy for these whales range from 60 to 100 years, but in captivity it only ranges from about 25 to 35 years. And if you combine all of these negative influences together, it has actually made the death rates increase rapidly for these whales inside captivity. To date, there have already been 140 whale deaths in captivity, and I found that from a website called orcadolphinsworld.com, and I accessed that on November 27th. So with all these negative factors combined, it's honestly not surprising how the aggression has become more noticeable with these whales. I have a short video clip to show you from the movie Blackfish. Is the volume on? Cheers.
Your stomach drops because you know what's probably going to happen. She grabbed her foot. Tamari whips around and she grabs the gate. You see her just ripped from the gate. At this point, Tamari knows that she's in trouble. She's under the water. Splash and Orchid both have her. She's totally out of view. No other trainer knows that this is happening. People start to scream, as the park guest that was filming it.
According to an article, The Orca Project, written by John Kelty, and I accessed that on November 27th as well, there has never been a report of a wild orca attack, but there have already been 4 in captivity. So just imagine being taken from your family and home and dropped into a totally different location with strangers and surroundings that you have no idea who and what they are, and they're nothing like home. I know none of us would be happy either. Currently, Tilikum, who is in that picture in the circled one, is the most famous whale show from SeaWorld worldwide, and he was actually the main example in the movie Blackfish. He is 22 feet long and weighing at 12,000 pounds. He is the largest captive male in captivity. Before he was transferred to SeaWorld in the United States, he lived at Sealand, and during Sealand is where he actually killed his first trainer before he was transferred over to SeaWorld. He also was the whale that killed the latest trainer, Dawn Branchow, in 2010, who was in that picture with him. One of the few males, and he's actually one of the few males held in captivity only due to the ability that he can reproduce. And I found that from the movie Blackfish that was aired this past October and produced by Manuel Oteiza. So even with the worldwide knowledge of this aggression, he is actually still being used to reproduce whales and is actually suffering in these tanks, as you can see, just from his natural instincts by attacking people. So the next time any of you are at a SeaWorld attraction or any zoo in general, just remember that it's not as perfect as it seems. I am asking all of you to watch Blackfish at least once because it will open your eyes to a whole new light on SeaWorld. You can even like the Orca Project on Facebook. They have a lot of petitions, or even donating to a wildlife fund will help just a tiny bit. It may be hard to help from Wisconsin, but all the little things do count. So just remember that these animals living in these close surroundings is affecting their entire lives negatively, and that if we were in that same position, we would want to be respected as well. Thank you.